Hello. Stop laughing at me. This is a very, very professional show. And I had a glitch at the beginning of the lady show, and now I have a glitch at the show, and nobody would have known had you not gone. So, thanks. You should be a little bit closer.
Sure. I don't really get much closer because of your chair arms.
My massive gaming chair. Yes, I know.
Turn myself sideways. There we go.
You can turn yourself sideways. Ah! I'm losing my shoe. This is not good. There we go.
This show doesn't require shoes.
I know, but like
It's a shoeless show.
But the problem is that if you have your shoes like on and then they fall off, it's very annoying. I don't like it.
That's a problem.
It is a problem. It's like flip flops. Like they're well, these are very loose on my feet, but they're the only ones I have that have a bit of a. Sorry for the professional dog jiggling in the background. But they're the only ones that I have that
like a professional dog gigolo.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know how you're arranging these windows. It's very interesting.
I don't know I'm just gonna sit back and let you run everything. Go ahead.
Wow. Even with your like bizarro mouse?
You have a hard time using that. Are you having fun rearranging stuff?
I am. Yeah.
So I arrange it one way and then you rearrange it.
Well, you did tell me to take over, so I did.
Are you going to be able to copy and paste links into the chat room?
No.
With this mouse I'm talking about. I'm not being a smartass.
I don't know. There might be some missing links.
You know, people don't see your ridiculous expressions.
Nope. They don't.
So, last week, we started talking. I guess it wasn't just last week. It's been a couple of weeks we've been talking about climate change. And
the climate is changing.
Yes, it is. And it's interesting. So go ahead and share the link. So yes, you're okay. So this first article, and Kevin found all but one of the articles today. So this one here from the New York Times is, well, we just started and we didn't even do our normal what we're drinking.
Oh, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a mix of cranberry lime and plain seltzer.
Nice.
Now it's very exciting tonight.
I have just Yingling lager.
Yep. Good old Pennsylvania beer. It's the nation's oldest brewery, isn't it?
Yeah.
America's oldest brewery. Yeah, that's pretty cool. In Pennsylvania. Anyhow, sorry. So now we can start. Again, we're very professional here. So, this is an article from the New York Times, and I saw the article, and I just kind of glanced at it. I didn't really do much more reading about it. So the title is "Port Blocks a Vast Alaskan Drilling Project, Citing Climate Dangers," right? And, I was like, okay, so here we go. We're talking about this, issue, and, it's I get it. Like, we got to be watching, the issues with the climate change and all that. And, and we try not to become political on the show. And I was like, all right, this is going to be all about how Trump pushed this through and all that. But I have to say, the little, like, after the title, like the little subtitle, says the multi-billion-dollar ConocoPhillips plan, known as Willow, was approved under the Trump administration and then legally supported by the Biden administration. So this is a double whammy. So whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, and you either dislike one or the other of the previous and current presidents, regardless, they both agreed to this one.
What if you're a Tea Party?
I don't know who they voted for last time. Anyhow, so this is in Alaska, and this is one of those things where it gets a little sticky, I think, with the climate change issues. So
okay, why does it get sticky?
Because it's oil, and oil's sticky. No, that's not why. Because so they were going to, so the very first paragraph says a federal judge in Alaska on Wednesday blocked construction permits for an expansive oil drilling project on the state's North Slope that was designed to produce more than 100,000 barrels of oil a day for the next 30 years. So that's a lot of oil.
Yeah.
And as for at least the next 30 years. So the judge blocked it due to the climate change regulations and all this other stuff. And so it's been halted. I don't know if it's permanently or not yet. There's probably some sort of fight going to be happening after this, I'm assuming. But that's a lot of oil that could be done. Now, the Alaskan wilderness is absolutely beautiful, and they're concerned about the environmental effects, of course, on the wildlife and on the flora and fauna, the pollution that could happen from, in the waterways and the oceans, and also, of course, the burning of fossil fuels that comes from using all this, oil and, and gas and cars and stuff. But that's a lot of oil to turn away from, especially right now when gas prices for regular gas is $3.25 a gallon around here. So why do we always have to rely on foreign oil? We have 100,000 barrels a day for 30 years in Alaska, but we can't do it because of the effect on the environment. So my question is
really going to lower the price of gas?
I don't know.
No.
Well, my question is, why can't we have better ways by now of extracting the oil, of using it? Why can't we do something better than?
Why would we put resources into that rather than putting resources into alternatives to oil, not using oil at all?
Well, yes, but they're trying to do that, I think, with this infrastructure plan.
I think it's not enough. I would say we need to be more aggressive and mandate we need to get away from this, away from using oil at all for anything. There's no reason to use it at all.
Well,
all the technology that uses it is old and inefficient.
Your two vehicles are old and inefficient, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So you'd be willing to get rid of both of them in support of fixing the climate change issues and drive some electric vehicle instead of the two vehicles we have?
Yeah.
They don't make an electric Corvette. Yeah. So this is interesting. So people who get all political in situations like this, this is a case again where current president is actually supporting the previous president's initiatives here. It says, in May, the Biden administration drew the wrath of environmental advocates when it filed a brief in the U.S. District Court for Alaska defending the Trump administration's decision to greenlight the Willow project.
Yeah, did they say why?
It said that they had complied with environmental rules in place at the time, so there was no reason to not go through with it.
Okay, so there wasn't a legal reason to oppose it.
Right.
That's fair.
But they're very upset. So the environmental groups are happy because of the judge's decision. But they also have been strongly criticizing the Biden administration's decision not to oppose the drilling plan. But the Biden, you how could you oppose the drilling plan if everything was, all the I's were dotted and all the T's were crossed from the Trump administration? So they supported it, and now everyone's screaming at them. It's interesting.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily just let things go because it's legal.
Well, no, that's true. But it's an interesting situation here where you have both presidents, the current and the former, agreeing. Yeah. That doesn't often happen. Nope. And they're both being shot down. So
yeah, both terrible on this.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. It's a difficult situation, but
I don't think it should be that difficult. I think it should just be no, don't do it.
Well, yeah. Well, that again, we have to break oil's hold on the world, really, before we can just do that. Because I mean, you can't just say, okay, everyone's going to stop driving their gas guzzling cars starting today, and we're all going to turn to electric tomorrow.
Well, when we entered into World War II, we suddenly needed a whole bunch of guns and ammunition and bombs and all kinds of things, and everybody stopped what they were doing to make that shit. So why can't they do that?
That takes I think an act of war declaration. I just read something similar. So right now, I think the White House has approached 3 different airlines: United, Delta, and there's another one where they are having them, like, they're basically commandeering some of their planes, and they're making them help with the evacuation of Afghanistan right now. And apparently that's something that, has only happened, I think, three other times in history, and one was something like in like World War II that they did something, and then after that with I forget, like something with the Iraq war or whatever. So I think that what you're talking about is just like stop everything and like let's refocus, and like, like for instance, the Trump administration um, and was allowed to, because of the emergency declaration situation when COVID first hit, and we thought that we were going to be running out of ventilators. They were able to basically take companies that were maybe producing something similar-ish that could be like retrofitted to like do better. Like, I'm just gonna use this. It's not, it wasn't Ford, but I'm just gonna say like they would go to like Ford and be like, we need you to make ventilators, and you have to, and they had to, and they did that with certain companies. At the beginning of the pandemic, I think it has to be some sort of like crazy state of emergency thing. So what you're talking about wouldn't work right now because it's not a state of emergency situation.
Could declare that. You could do it, maybe not for individuals, but you could start with businesses. You could say that, like, okay, the post office can't burn gasoline to deliver mail anymore. They need to use electric cars.
Well, they are working on retrofitting and making an electric fleet.
Yeah, that's good, but it should be faster.
Well,
but I'm just telling you my opinion. That's all.
Well, continuing along with your opinion and talking about the climate change situation, I found this article a while ago, and it's at first it's like, whatever, but then you really have to think about it. So it's like rain fell on the peak of Greenland's ice sheet for the first time in recorded history. So one of the things that I used to have a hard time remembering between Greenland and Iceland, right, is like I know one is covered in, like, it's completely ice, and so you think Iceland, because of the name. No, Greenland doesn't have very much green because it's a massive. It's one of the only two major ice sheets in the world. The other one's in Antarctica.
The entire continent is covered in ice.
Yes. And so the problem is that according to the U.S. National Snow and Ice Data Center, rain fell for several hours on an area 10,551 feet in elevation on August 14th, an unprecedented occurrence for a location that rarely sees temperatures above freezing. So the fact that it was above freezing was very rare, but the fact that it rained and for several hours was like mind-blowing, unprecedented. And it actually, the rainfall coincided with the ice sheet's most recent melt event, in which temperatures get high enough that the thick ice begins to melt. So this is really bad. And they had two major melt events in July. And it's bad. It's really, really bad. And the ice sheet in Greenland is the other, like, again, it's only one of two on Earth. The other one's in Antarctica. Is about 656,000 square miles of glacial land ice, blanketing the majority of the country. So the problem is that temperatures have risen about almost 2 degrees Fahrenheit since the growth of industrialization and fossil fuels in the mid-19th century, right? The Arctic region has warmed by almost 2 degrees Celsius so far. So that's like what, like almost 4 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
Right? But, people like to sit there and deny climate change, but how can you deny something like that? Like, it rained for several hours at an elevation of over 10,000 feet in Greenland. And so it says Greenland and Antarctica lost enough ice over the last 16 years to fill all of Lake Michigan. And the problem is that, you're like, oh, it's Greenland, it's way up there, who cares? It's not a big deal. But that is affecting the sea levels all over the world.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah.
Like, you don't care that the canary dies, but the canary dying.
Yeah, means you got to get the hell out too. So
things are bad.
Yeah, exactly.
As this is supposed to be.
Yeah. And I don't understand the people who can sit there and see this stuff and just be so glib and be like, well, hey, the Earth's going to shake the people off of itself. Like, once it gets too much, we'll have another ice age or something will happen, and like, humanity will be wiped out and, reset or whatever. Or they completely deny it and they're like, no, this is bullshit. Like, oh wow, whopping 2 degrees in like, 200 years. And it's like, but when you complain about how hot it is, and it feels like it's really hot and gross, it's because it is getting hotter.
Yeah, but it's not just that; it just changes the ecosystem all
Oh
around.
yeah, and we talked about this last week, I think,
Yeah.
with the currents and how they hit, how they go into Europe and everything else. And look at how many hurricanes we're getting too lately. Like apparently it's like hurricane season has been like spawning like a crazy amount of hurricanes lately every year.
Yeah. People, I think what's going to end up happening is that people are going to have to leave some cities and settlements. It's
Yeah.
going to be like really difficult to live in. People are going to have to leave.
Well, like for instance, in Tennessee, this past weekend with Hurricane Henri, who it came through, and there was an area of Tennessee that had a lot of like little creeks and small like rivers, and it's known to flood. In Tennessee, in some of the in this area, in this county particularly, is I guess very low lying, and they were saying that it was just horrific. Like they have experienced flooding, so they knew they were going to get flooding, but apparently there was like, I think they said 17 inches of rain fell in like 24 hours or something like that. It's something insane. And one guy said that he ran to the store to get something, and when he was coming back, he found his garage a quarter of a mile away from his
Oh, I heard you
house.
saying that.
Yeah, and then like somebody else was like the water level just, it was like a giant like wave of like, the guy said it was like, it felt like the ocean just came in. It was like he and his wife and their cat, like they were in their house, and then the next thing you know, they're like scrambling to get to the top of the house because the water was rising so fast it was up to their like necks, and they wound up like on a mattress, the three of them, the couple and the cat, and like were able to get rescued. It's like, it's insane. So I mean, that's a low-lying area there. Look at New Orleans, look at Louisiana, look at all of like the water, like they're below the sea level in some spots.
Yeah.
Like that's bad. Like that's with Hurricane Katrina, like we saw the situation there. I mean, the dam at Lake Pontchartrain, right? That's the one that kind of started to collapse a little bit, and like, it overflowed or something like that. And like it's like, I mean,
I
and
don't want to
you're
live anywhere that relies on a man-made dam or
Yeah.
levee to keep back the
water so that it doesn't
Eventually,
like,
it's
yeah.
going to fail.
There, yeah,
It might not be this
yeah.
year, it might not be next year, but yeah, I don't want to.
We've seen videos of that, like other ones that have failed, and it's like, oh my god, like massive homes are just like ripped away. It's so, I mean, this is all contributing, like the global warming is contributing to all of this mess. And so people living in like those areas of Louisiana, like the very southern tips of Louisiana, like the panhandle of Florida, you know, down there in Missouri, not Missouri, Mississippi, and Arkansas, all those have some real low lying country, whether they're against the ocean or not. You know, like the whole, that part of the country is very flat.
It's interesting. Yeah, just real quick. So when you go to New Orleans, the French Quarter is the oldest part, and typically the big tourist attraction too. But the reason why it's the oldest and it's still standing is because it's built up just high enough that when they have the major flooding, doesn't typically
Generally,
impact
yeah.
that area.
Right. Yeah.
And so I
Like we
guess
still have homes from the 1700s and
yeah, the settle, people wanted to sort of stay in that area, but the rest of the area was not high enough in elevation to survive long term. So
No. Well, that's what,
they
if
knew
you
they
look at,
built it, but
if you ever see like the videos, like when they're in like those, they're like fan boats. I don't know what they have. You know, they're like they look like regular, like almost like a speedboat, but they have a giant like fan in the back.
I think
That's
those are
to
for
help them.
swamps.
Yeah, for
Because they
swamps and
can't
yeah.
have like the propeller in the water
Right.
because it's too
Because
thick.
yeah. So they, you see those, like TV shows, like where they're going like gator hunting or they're going fishing somewhere, and they're going through like that. Yeah, and it's just like, holy God, like, I mean, it's, and then you see some people have built there, like up on stilts, like they put their house up, and it's just like, how long does that last before you have to redo that? I would not be trusting that. Like, it's just not, it's not good.
No, yeah, I don't want to have my house on stilts in the water, whether it's swamp or ocean or
Yeah.
anything.
Oh, that's another one. The
It's
ocean.
cool,
Somebody doesn't do
like-
that.
It's cool for like a vacation spot, but I don't want all my stuff to be there.
No, and I wouldn't want to invest, like, well, we talked about this, like way out on Long Island, right? No, not Long Island. It's in the Far Rockaways or some stretch where they had originally that there was a bunch of like beach shacks that were built. Like people had, like it was like,
Bungalows.
yeah, like and I mean they were small. They were like almost like little, like have you ever gone camping at a campground where you rented a cabin and they're real small and very basic.
Yeah.
So kind of like that. But then people like started to like build like better and nicer houses. Like you can't build that close to the ocean. You can't build that close to a river. Like I love seeing, like there's some houses, some beautiful houses that, when we were looking at, houses that were near the like the Delaware River or the Lackawaxen River. And like so today after all that rain, the Lackawaxen River is really high, very muddy. Like I mean, you can't I mean, as much as it's pretty to be on like running water or like the ocean, it's not a good idea. Like, you have to be really high up. So, I mean, we're on a lake. So, the lake's even kind of high right now, but like we're way high up. Like it's a very steep piece of property, but like I just don't get it. Like it's to just deny what you like is being reported, and it's not just like, American, scientists. It's all over the world. Scientists are coming with the same conclusions. Like no scientist that I know of is saying there's no such thing as climate change. Like it's a lot of the naysayers who are like,
I think there's less denying that the climate is changing, but there's the same people they have gone away from that sort of narrative and just gone to, well, it's changing, there's nothing we can do about it.
yeah. Oh yeah, well we saw this whole thing. I saw it. There was an actual, I didn't see it, I'm sorry, I heard it. I was listening to the news. I don't know what channel, I think it was CNN maybe or NPR. But they interviewed, they got an actual Republican senator on like video, audio, whatever, saying that yes, he definitely believes that climate change is real. He said a lot of his buddies believe that climate change is real as well, but they will never vote to help, stop it because of all of the other, concerns as far as like other corporations and things like that with their concerns. Yeah, exactly. So that was the hidden thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not so hidden.
No.
Yeah, that's just a key problem with how campaigns are funded and
yeah,
like lobbyist groups and all that work.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible. And I've said this many times. It's you can have the best of intentions and you're fresh and you're ready to like change the world and you get voted in and now you're going to Washington D.C. and the next thing you know you're spending $600 for a haircut and you don't care, you don't bat an eyelash, and like this group comes up to you and says, hey, we really want this, we would love it if you voted for this bill this way, and like we'll make sure that we show our appreciation, because they have to be careful. You can't like give outright gifts, but like they do.
I think this is like a big part of how, it's a pressure from a capitalist society to always try to push, money is leverage, and in order to get money, you have to spend money, and so
yeah,
goes around comes around.
Yeah. Well, what goes around comes around, and spending money. The next article is from the Wall Street Journal. We can't see the whole thing because we don't subscribe, but it's okay. We can see enough. And the headline is Amazon plans to open large retail locations akin to department stores. So.
Yeah, I've been in like when I worked when I worked in New York, which I don't anymore.
I do.
I worked in Midtown, and there was a Amazon store nearby, and it was the
like a 7-Eleven, like a convenience store.
How did they call it? Amazon Go. It was a trial thing, and there's a couple in New York, a couple in San Francisco, and Washington too, I think. Anyways, they're trying out new technology, and it was cool. But now they want to scale it up to large-scale department stores. And I mean, the idea of not having to go to a checkout and not having to have a person check you out, or even the self-checkouts are not great. They're kind of painful.
Yeah. Please put your item in the bagging area. Okay, give me a second.
So if you get a person that checks you out, and like a cashier,
I check you out all the time.
I know. If you get a person that is really good at checking you out, like Carrie, then it's a great experience.
Are we still talking about checkouts, or are we really?
Yeah, like you get in and out fast and you feel satisfied and
Wow. She's not satisfied with the fast part, but hey.
she's got a lot of customers to serve. Wait a minute.
What? Uh, we even got Kate on that one. Oh, I think maybe Kevin needs to come over to the ladies' night one night, do a guest appearance. We'll crucify him. There's no way you can handle that.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, this is the department store idea is very weird. Like Amazon, the whole thing for Amazon, the whole point that they've been so successful is like their online and virtual basically ability.
It's like 1998 or something.
Yeah,
like
right. And so, what is wrong with you? Your dog is going nuts. She's like climbing on Kevin right now. I'll let him deal with that. So, yeah, I mean, so the whole idea of like opening a retail location of Amazon, like, what are they going to do? Take over all of the empty malls and just make a giant Amazon mall? That could be something they could do. I don't know. Is that so? Say that in the article? I don't think so.
Yeah, being that Amazon is like they started. I mean, they've always been a technology company, right? Because their online retail store, and then they expanded.
They started as an online bookstore.
Right. Well, it's still retail.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it was just books.
Yeah, and then I think it was earlier in their existence than I originally thought, but somebody, like, it was mostly out of a need. Like, they needed to expand the capacity of their servers and all that, and so they built this like software and infrastructure to run their website, and then they realized that they built something pretty cool and that they could resell it, and then Amazon Web Services came about.
Right.
And a lot of people aren't really aware of this, but
I'm only aware of it because of you. Yeah.
Yeah. So most of Amazon's money is actually made through reselling those services.
That's like Alibaba too. So the services are like it's their platform-ish, like sort of like the idea, like they have a way of handling all the stuff in the background. Is what I'm trying to put layman's terms on what you're talking about.
They
run. It's not like a service that we like the average person would need. This is like companies who need like things handled for them at the level that they, like give one example of an Amazon service, like an Amazon web service.
Well, they'll run a website for you.
Well, I mean, a lot of places can do that. Something a little bit more involved than that.
More involved?
What do you mean by run a website?
They'll host all of the resources they have. They'll host the database. They'll hold that, and they'll let you scale really quickly.
Meaning like expand.
Yeah, so
I'm just trying to translate for you.
Yeah, so you start out and you have 100 users, and then you're expanding, and now all of a sudden in like a couple of weeks you have 1 million users, and now one server isn't enough. Now you need like 20 servers.
And that's something you could not something you do very easily as a company on
your own. Yeah, no, that if you ever watched like Silicon Valley or something, like scrambling to get like resources, and that's not really a thing anymore because you would most likely use something like Amazon Web Services, which is like the main competitor.
Right.
But anyways, they make most of their money through that. So what I'm saying is they are really big in data services, and where I started about talking about that little store where there was no checkout. There's like all these cameras that monitor you. There's something here. They want to develop new technology, and they want to test it here. That's what this is. That's my long get around to this. They want to because I already saw that they were talking about expanding the little convenience store to Whole Foods. They bought Whole Foods.
Right.
They wanted to make Whole Foods a like a
checkout free area.
Experience, and I think that's great because if you've ever been to like whenever you go to the grocery store, what's the most annoying part? It's when you pick all your stuff and you want to
get out, and then you're in line. Like I mean, and Whole Foods does a great job, at least the one at 125th Street, of like moving people pretty damn fast.
They have a pretty good system. Yeah, I mean, but I've seen different companies do different things. Yeah. I mean, some will do like one like queue, and then you go to like different registers. Yes. Some have a separate queue for each register, and then you have to like, who's faster, and you have to pick.
The problem, however, is that if you don't have enough workers. So, like, I'm sure there's been, even before the pandemic, I'm sure everyone listening can like sympathize with the person who you go to Walmart and you go to check out and they have like 30 like registers and they have like 3 register operators. Like it's like what the hell are you doing?
Well, I mean, from someone who worked in retail, and I think you did too.
I
but,
did.
the
I
couple-
was a cashier. I would check people out in the.
as we already know.
Yeah.
So I worked at like a department store and I worked at Best Buy, and like when I worked at Best Buy, like I was in a high traffic mall, and we never had all the registers open except for like Black Friday.
Friday. But I mean, I'm not saying you have to have all of the registers open, but you need to have more than 3.
Yeah, I know.
Especially when the lines are getting crazy.
It's also like, yeah, it's also a weird perception. Like I understand because I worked there how like it would be set up, but as a customer going in, like I understand how that looks like. Oh, you have all this capacity, but you don't.
Yeah, no, I get that, but again, they need to have more. Like I went to the grocery store this morning, and I don't even try to get somebody to check me out anymore. And the one thing about this grocery, the Weiss and Honesdale, is nice because they open up the regular. So you have like the little like self checkouts, tiny little things, right? So if you have like a basket of stuff, it's doable. But if you have even like those mini carts, it's annoying because you only have like 3 bags. And so how do you handle it, right? Well, the Weiss in Honesdale, actually, you can go through some of the conveyor belt lines, and that's self-checkout now. So you can put all your stuff on the conveyor belt, and then you can start putting your bags right back into, and you have the spinny bag wheel thing that you can put a whole bunch of bags, and you can put them right back in your cart as you're doing it. So
why do you have to take stuff out of the cart? I mean, that's what Amazon wants to get rid of.
Right. Well, that's fine, but I mean, like, you have to take stuff out of the cart in order to scan it.
That's what they want to get rid of.
I know that, but I'm talking about the Weiss and Honesdale.
Well, I'm talking about this.
Well, this is still, but the bottom line is this is still really weird though. Like they have like, it's like, I don't know, like what are you gonna? Amazon has so many different things. How are they gonna have a department store? Like what are they gonna carry? What are they gonna carry? How are they gonna make a decision? They can't carry everything they have online in a department store.
No.
They can't even carry every category.
They said here it's going to be focused on what the heck is it? I think electronics and something else. Household items, electronics, other areas people familiar with the matter said. Clothing, household items, electronics. Amazon has actually already surpassed. It said I read that somewhere. Is it on here? I think Amazon has already surpassed Walmart in clothing. Like they sell more clothes than Walmart.
I believe that. I definitely believe that because they have more brands. They have a lot
Which
more
is crazy
stuff,
because I think of clothes. I don't necessarily think of going to Walmart. Not that I buy a lot of clothes, but like if I was going to, I wouldn't think of Walmart or Amazon.
No, I usually think of like Kohl's or something
But
like that.
at least if like, I mean, if I'm gonna buy clothes, like if I'm gonna buy a T-shirt, okay, fine. I know that I'm like generally medium, so it's fine. But if I'm gonna buy anything I need to try on, like pants, I want to go.
Well,
and try
how is
them on.
Amazon going to handle this? They're going to have people you can still like go and try things on, and they still have to have.
I think they're gonna focus on things that you would want to do in person, like clothing. You want to see the TV,
right?
You want to touch the clothing. You want to like sit on this couch or whatever.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
And probably also things that are like very large, like it's costly to deliver, so you take it home. Or they organize delivery from there, like a furniture store maybe, or take this giant TV home so we don't have to fucking ship it to you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So Kit was saying, trust me, I was a Walmart cashier. They never staff the front end full, especially now that they have self checks for the small orders. Now they have self check conveyor belt. Oh yeah, with more bags available. Walmart swore they did not cut hours because of self check. They lied. Yeah, I believe it. Of course they did. But now some of them are crying for workers because I mean you get treated like that. It's a shitty job, and so you don't want to work.
But there's I mean being a cashier isn't like super easy. There is a little bit of like there is some skill and some art to it for sure.
Yes.
And like if you see a good cashier, like they're able to go through. They're
fast.
They're familiar efficient, with like the things that are they know there's problems. Like, oh, this item tends to be a problem. I know what to do about it. I know who to call or how to fix it.
I can look up the SKU number and type it in or whatever.
Yeah, I know the SKU number of these carrots and it's fine. Like they never scan, so here you go. Like they're good, and sometimes a lot of times they're underappreciated for that.
Yeah.
Because being a cashier is generally considered an unskilled labor. Yeah. But I think there is a lot of skill there that goes unappreciated.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that.
You're not going to get like a big tip or a raise being a cashier, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Kid agrees with you. And she remembers what bananas are.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. No, it's
We know Kid likes bananas.
yeah. She's crazy. Crazy. She's bananas. I actually bought some bananas today for the first time in years. I bought some bananas. They're on top of the refrigerator.
That's appealing.
Oh God. The produce amounts. I will say something. I will admit to something. So I was a cashier at it was called Murphy's Mart. It was akin to an Ames, and if you still don't know what I'm talking about, it's like the forerunners to like Kmart. It was like a smaller version of Kmart, not as nice, and then Kmart's not even that great. So you know what I mean, right? So I worked at this, yeah, I worked at this Murphy's Mart, and I was really good. It was before the scanners, so you had to type in all of the numbers, and that's how I got. Remember, I'm really good at typing in numbers, but on a number on a keypad, number pad without looking. Yeah, so I could just and so I would get a lot of people like the other cashiers would be working, and their lines would be much shorter. My line would be long, but I would get through everybody much faster. So people used to go to my line, and
Right.
I remember we had like the papers taped to like the side like of anything like certain things that were on sale that were having problems because usually the sale items like they got screwed up all the time, like they were never quite in right. And so I liked to try to get things through fast, and this woman brought up this like it was like a rose bush, and it didn't have
like a rose bush, or was it?
It was a rose bush, and it didn't have a number on it, and the price was on it, but it didn't have the SKU number. And I looked on my list and I didn't see anything, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna put it in for this particular you're not supposed to do that, but I was like, I'm trying to like
taking liberties.
I know I did, and so I typed in some other like plant item. And the price came up on sale. Like I must have clicked something crazy because this rose bush that should have been like probably like $25 came up for like $5. And her eyes got big, and she told her husband, go get some more. And she came back to me, and she came back with like 6 of them. And I'm like, oops. So Murphy's Mart does not work. I put in the same number for it. I was like, I'm not gonna fuck this up.
Sounds like a thorny situation.
Yes, it was. Now Murphy's Mart is no more. I wonder why.
Good job.
Yeah, right.
One rose bush at a time.
Yep.
Now how old were you?
I was probably 18.
Okay. How old were you when you realized that the number pad on computer keyboards is opposite of phones?
I think I knew it before, but I almost feel like I'm having one of those. I was today years old. I don't really think about it, but you're right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and zero's down. Yeah, but the zero's still down the same spot.
Yes.
That's interesting. Why would they do that?
There's some like not very interesting history on it, but it comes from like adding machines from like accountants.
Got ya.
But I noticed it. I think my first job as cashier at Boscov's because like I had the keyboard here to put in stuff, and then I had a phone and I had to make a phone call to like ask about like
your hands were like, wait, this is the wrong number.
Like, what is going on?
That's funny. That's funny.
I was probably like 17.
Gotcha. The good old days. Yeah. So I'm assuming you have a specific reason to kind of want to bring this one up. It's not something that I would normally like be focused on, so you're gonna have to take this one away. The startup boom in the pandemic is growing stronger.
What? Yeah, so I just thought it was interesting. Well, go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna read the little blurb. It says, after waning for decades, applications to start businesses surged last year. If the rebound proves durable, it could provide a more resilient economy. So I know that a lot of businesses went under, and I know there's a lot of people trying to start new businesses.
Right.
It's interesting. I mean, there have been a lot more incentives, opportunities, like they've been, the government. Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Is it fun?
You're a dick. I'm sure people heard the dog bark when I yelled at them because Ari's being stupid. So anyhow, so the startup thing. I mean, but when I see startup, to me that's different from applications for new. I know it sounds weird. To me, startup is reserved for like crazy
Tech
tech
stuff.
companies. Yeah. So when I see startup, I'm like, and it's in the picture is like a guy with a guitar and a chick with a keyboard. I'm like, what the hell are they starting up? So I don't know. It just seems I don't like that term for this.
Maybe it's anyways. So all right. Well, startup is just starting a new business. So let's go with that for a minute.
Okay. Kevin just looked over what so kids
So
like.
if you're starting up a new business, now you brought up a good point. Like we're not even reading the article here. Right?
Yeah, no, I'm just looking at the picture.
Um, so you already mentioned a lot of businesses went under because of the pandemic.
Right. You see it better that way.
So yeah. So a lot of businesses. So
You put it there. I had it over here and you moved it over. So your shifting was bad because of the microphone. And see, I was already interpreting that and like anticipating that. I had moved it over here for you, and
well,
then
I
you
just
pulled
wanted
it over
this over
there.
here. That's all.
Anyhow, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you like that, but
But you did.
I needed to make a point. I'll stop.
So you said that a lot of businesses went under because of the pandemic. A lot of new businesses started during the pandemic. So correlation is not causation.
I know you love using that term, expression.
But maybe, do you think this is the result of people whose businesses went under are trying to start something new?
Oh, new businesses. Yeah,
I think it's
a
the same
possibility.
people. Like,
Could be.
crap, this didn't work, but now let's try this. Or is it different people who are like, well, I don't know, I was an employee and now I don't want to be an employee anymore. Now I want to be my own.
I'm sure it's
my
a
own
combination.
employer.
And a lot of people that were spent a lot of time at home with, again, if they were like unemployed or whatever, like they might have started doing stuff and they were like, what can I do? And like maybe they started doing things that they found enjoyable that they figured they could do, as a business. I mean,
yeah, or they like maybe their job shifted to remote,
right?
and maybe it became, I don't know, easy, boring. They could do it.
Well, I
and
did
then
see
they had more time, and they're
uh-huh.
like, all right, now I want to do this thing that I'm interested in.
Well, I saw an article where there are a whole bunch of people who have actually are working 2 full-time jobs virtually, and they're able to like they're not doing either job very perfectly, but they're doing it well enough that they are pulling in double salaries. Like they're literally doing 2 jobs at once. And then somebody said like one guy like apparently like was on a Zoom meeting with one company or something like that, and like clicked something, and like the other company could hear like the first like few seconds of that, and then like, he quick stopped it. Like, but yeah, that generally like there are quite a few people who are doing that.
Yeah, I mean, anytime big things change like that, there's always going to be people who take advantage of it. It's like in the software community, there's a couple of jokes that are going around that like somebody was like, I accepted 10 offers for jobs, and it took them 2 months to figure out. So I collected salaries. I collected 10 jobs worth of salaries for 2 months.
Yeah.
And it's like that's a whole year's worth of work. So now I'm done for the year.
Wow.
There was like, and it's only like sort of a half joke. Like I feel like somebody might have actually tried that and might have been clever enough to get away with it.
Right.
For like 2 months. I could see somebody getting away for 2 months.
Especially at the beginning of the pandemic when people were going remote and they didn't know what they were doing yet. I mean,
I work for a remote company. We're still hiring like crazy. This is not like early pandemic anymore.
No, it's not. Yeah. And well, you're considered a startup company. Your company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we launched just before the pandemic, but
right.
It wasn't a pandemic startup exactly.
Right.
In the sense that it started during it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's I get that, I've always wanted to have my own like shop, like we already talked about, like be perfect to have a little like a gift store with like unique and eclectic like items, like fantasy kind of stuff. And we talked about Lady of the Lake because it's like Wampaupack.
Careful, don't tell people your idea.
Oh, shh, you didn't hear that. So anyhow, and Lady of the Lake actually has Arthurian references, so it's perfect as well. And I mean, it would be really cool. And you've been like, well, why don't you like apply for a business loan, and like and I'm like, yeah, but like I don't know the first thing about it. And also, like once you start a business, like now you're married to it, like and I saw that with
There's always divorce.
that's true. I saw that with, speaking of divorce, my ex-husband's family.
Wow.
It was a great segue. Thank you for that
Wow.
opportunity. They owned a restaurant, and I mean, they were literally married to that business. Like they could never go on vacation because, like, Philip's dad was the chef. I mean, they had somebody else that could cook. Like, once in a while they would like sneak out, like if they could, but like there's the idea of like if you're not there, you have to have trustworthy employees that are going to be able to handle. Like,
I think that's why some businesses will look at scale as a way out of that, because if you have like multiple locations and stuff, you can start like delegating that responsibility. Now you have enough like income that
yeah,
you
but
can
like
start
when
hiring like site
yeah,
managers and
but that's
stuff,
fine. But like
right?
you're
Like
talking
your sister.
right, but you're talking about startups.
Right.
Like they're not going to have
Not
20.
initially, but you need to start up and grow fast, right?
What
Your
if you don't
sister
want a
doesn't own the
chain?
company,
What
but
if
your
you just want
sister
a
runs
small
multiple
thing?
locations, right?
Yes.
So that I'm sure the owners are like taking breaks and like taking vacations, and your sister's not.
Yeah, and
Just
getting paid shit too.
yeah, I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm just saying that's what people do. So
Mm.
there is a way. There is a way to have a business and take your vacation too. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I just
You want to do it the right way. What are you wrong with?
yeah, that's exactly the problem. So that's never going to happen. Not going to do that.
This next one is super, super like golden sunshine.
Yeah, well, we have one ending one that Kevin promises is later, but I don't know about that. So I actually saw this before you brought this one up, and it's a New York Times article.
It's interactive.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of cool. But the problem here, and this is we've talked about this before, is the healthcare issues in this nation, the insurance situations. And so what's interesting is they have prices listed for an MRI at Massachusetts General. And if you have Cigna plan, it's $1,000 basically. If you have an Aetna plan, it's $3,000. And if you have a Humana plan, it's almost $4,000 for an MRI. So like that's like insane, right? And then if you keep going, you see other prices. So like for instance, at the University of Mississippi Medical Center, a colonoscopy with Cigna is $1,400. With Aetna, it's $2,100. If you don't have insurance at all, they charge you $782.
Wow.
Now, $782 is still a lot of money, but like they're literally tripling the actual cost that they would ask a person to pay if they had no insurance if you have Aetna, and they're doubling it if they have Cigna. It's like it's insanity. Yeah, no. Oh, geez, Kit. Hope everything's okay. But thanks for coming and listening. You did. So this is crazy. And you can look up the height the gosh, the prices at different hospitals here, and they don't want people to see this. They say, well, just publishing these numbers isn't going to be helpful. You don't want to, because then they think that people are going to pretend they don't have any coverage or anything like that. Well, hell, like this is insane. Like, and then they'll tell you, well, they're charging $2,100 for the same thing that they would charge somebody for $700 because they need to make up the difference with the people who are uninsured. Is that what they're going to try and say? Because you read this article, I didn't read it. I just glanced at it.
So I read a lot of it, but not all of it. And one of the things that I didn't really think about before is the leverage of the insurance companies. That's what I think is the underlying story here.
So Aetna sucks with their leverage because they get charged the most?
No. They have more leverage.
No, because this is what they're going to have to, like, so they're charging the insurance company more money than the insurance company has to pay.
Okay, wait.
So they would have less leverage because Cigna is only paying $1,400 for the same thing that Aetna is paying $2,100 for.
Yeah, and it would have the less leverage.
Right.
Yes. I was mixing it up. So, yeah, it's a weird dance between the providers, the hospitals, in this case it's hospitals, and the insurance companies, because the insurance companies will be like, oh, we have so many patients, you don't want to miss out on being part of our network, so they negotiate down prices. And then the hospitals will be like, well, you don't want your patients to not be part of our network in our area. So we want more money, so they're going to push prices up. And it's this weird dance that goes back and forth. But the without insurance is they need to charge enough where they still think people are going to pay and not like declare bankruptcy.
Right.
This is weird freaking like three-way love triangle of hate.
And the thing is too is that you have like a hospital, like for instance, like I can tell you with my boyfriend prior to you, he had a horrific nosebleed. Like it wouldn't stop. It wouldn't stop. And I was concerned that he had high blood pressure and something was happening or whatever. So he went to the hospital and they literally basically stuffed a tampon up his nose. I mean, it was bloody. It was really bad. Like he was profusely bleeding. It had to be stopped. So they basically stuffed a tampon up his nose. Gave him like, I forget something. He didn't have any pain or anything. We were there for maybe an hour and a half or so, maybe 2 hours, and came home and he got a bill for, I don't remember, it was like over $2,000. And he was like, and so he called, and he wasn't going to pay it. And I'm like, you can't keep doing that because he had other issues with the federal income tax. So he called them. And he's like, I can't afford this. I don't know what you expect. And so he says, and basically they wound up making a deal with him that he would make monthly payments of literally $25. Like, really? Like, so you're willing to take $25 a month from this guy for this, what you did.
Well, $25 probably pays for the tampon, so.
Yeah, right? It's just, I don't understand. And then, like, so then, and I know that people get like very bent out of shape about having to pay for insurance, like with the what the hell is it called? Not the Obama thing. I mean, it's the Obama thing, but they call it the something
Affordable
healthcare.
Care Act?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. And so they get very angry that it's very expensive, and I understand that some of the plans are really bad. Like, I mean, I've seen that and like, wow. So they're forced to carry insurance. Well, no wonder they get mad because people who still don't have insurance, like I know somebody, multiple six-figure person, who, that's a private joke. She had surgery on her leg. She had something wrong with her leg, and it was like, I don't know, like the bill was like, I don't know, something $17,000-$18,000, and she kept going back and talking to them and negotiating, and she got that her bill, her hospital stay and everything, that whole bill came down to something like $3,000 that she had to pay. From 17. What the hell? Like, the American people are getting raped by the insurance companies, by the hospitals. This is just, it's insanity.
Yeah, they really are.
And then you have like expensive deductibles. Like some people have like $2,000 deductibles, right? And so like, they can't afford that either.
And
like
it's posed as like discounts. That's what it says right here. They say the hospitals tell patients that they're getting steep discounts while they're charging multiple times more than like Medicare would pay.
Yeah.
If you're on Medicare.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing though, like the Medicare thing, like they can't fuck with that. Like, because like they have to take what Medicare pays, period, end of story. Like they don't get to fuck around with that one. Medicaid I don't know about, but Medicare they can.
There's another like statistic here that says patients often struggle to afford their bills. 16% of insured families currently have medical debt with a median amount of $2,000. Yeah. Well, $2,000 isn't terrible, but you have insurance.
Yeah, you shouldn't have any medical debt. Look at our friends who live in Tunkhannock. He has health insurance from his company that was so shitty. He had $30,000 in medical bills that he had to talk to his company, and they were able to because it's a private whatever, but they were able to work with him on that. But holy shit.
Yeah, I think there's a blurb in this article about a similar situation to theirs where companies do provide their own coverage where they don't enroll with an insurance provider like Cigna,
right? I think this
United, and they just say that we're gonna pay the bills.
Yeah.
Which means that they can choose, like an insurance company, they become the insurance company, and they can choose which bills are like I'll support, I'll pay or I won't pay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
And it's
crazy.
like,
Yeah.
how do you
Yeah.
even know? And it just provides this, it just adds this like crazy layer
Yeah.
to the like web of complexity that is like
I
healthcare.
would never ever want to be a company doing that because I wouldn't be able to like it's like what am I deciding whether you really need that colonoscopy or not? Like
Right. Yeah,
holy
they're
shit.
putting people in position like
No, no.
no one is going to be like looking ahead to see whether like this or that is covered, and then you're put in a position where like you have to make a decision for like your family member, your spouse, and you have to say, oh, do you need this like test run? You need the surgery or whatever, and of course you're going to say yes. So whatever the price is, like you're not in a position to bargain down and be like, no, maybe they don't need this colonoscopy or whatever it is. Yeah, maybe I'll just do it myself. It'll be fine. Like what? No.
Wow. Yeah. It's crazy. And they're talking about like rabies shots and how terrible they are too. Like it depends. Like there's an adult dose of the drug that prevents rabies. It varies from almost $17,000 to $37,000, not including emergency room fee that typically goes with it. This person had I guess he got shot got a rabies shot after a cat bite last summer. His total bill was $18,357. After his insurer's contribution, he still owed $6,351 for a rabies shot.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before. I definitely remember reading an article. I thought we brought up in the show. It would have been like months ago, but there was a situation where we saw that there were this was like specifically about like a very rare snake bite. And it was,
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and the hospitals were like trying to figure out whether they should keep this antidote
Right.
in stock because the shelf life is like a month or something, and it's like only been used like I don't know, it only gets used like once every 5 years, and so like if you are the unlucky person to need it, like you would want it to be there because it would save your
Yeah,
life, but
right.
if you have to pay for like keeping it for the last 5 years, and if it's like I don't know $1,000 a dose, and you have to pay for like the last 5 years, now you have to pay for like $60,000
Or more.
for this thing that's going to save your life. I mean, of course you're going to pay it, but like,
Yeah, it's just
does
crazy.
it cost? Does it pay for the hospital to keep it? And especially like small hospitals, and like,
Yeah.
did everybody have it? Like how? But if it's something that you need within like an hour, then it needs to be an hour away.
Okay,
And then
you
like
life flighted
imagine,
somewhere, and
like-
now your life flight cost is like $20,000 for the helicopter ride.
yeah,
it's
so
like,
we've
Jesus.
gotten ourselves, and at least when it comes to that, we've gotten ourselves in this dilemma of like, how much are we willing to pay
Hmm.
to provide like life-saving services like within reach for everyone? And do you say, oh, well, that's only available in areas where the snakes are? Well, maybe those snakes are like all over the place, but oh, well, then we only keep them where there's more people. So you only have that venom in like the venom antidote in like New York City
Right.
or San Francisco.
Yeah. Wow. This is crazy.
I mean,
And so
Sure.
yeah, but this, and just to finish up, this woman was talking about like her son had been bit I think by a dog, and she was trying to get a rabies shot for him, and she was trying to uh work to try to find the best price for her son's care. So her plan has a $3,500 deductible, so she'd have to pay that out of pocket before the insurance company steps in at all.
Works.
And the hospital she called, and her insurer, nobody would give her answers, wouldn't tell her how much it would cost. She made her decision based on the little information she could get. A hospital, Layton Hospital, that said it would charge her $787 if she paid cash. The price for paying with insurance wouldn't be available for another week or two, she was told. But even the cash price didn't turn out to be right. A few weeks after the visit, the hospital billed her an additional $2,260. It turns out the original estimate left out a drug her son would need. It was the most convoluted, useless process. She was able to get the bill waived after 5 months of negotiations with the hospital. There's no reason we should have to be doing this. We're not some third world country where, we don't even have enough doctors and stuff. Like, what the hell?
No, this is a capitalist country
Yeah.
in which you're trying to make money. That's why this happens.
What are you, a socialist? Don't look at me like that. I'm going to send you packing off with AOC. Well, with that brings us to the end, and we didn't even get to the
That's what I
happy
just said.
one. Yeah, I know. So, I sent, you saw it, I sent an email, so I would have it for next week. We need to have some, like, less, like, dark, like you're just like digging up for like shit. Like, what are you doing
Digging
here?
up for shit.
Yes, move your
Well, we had a few episodes of like
fun.
very light
Right,
fun.
that's
so
true.
That's why we need to get some serious information
Mm.
information to people, disseminate some information. So it's not all drink and a little know things.
There we go. That's true. We weren't even drunk on this one at all. Sad.
But I have to pee.
So do I. So we should end the show.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks all. Have a great night.